United States-based attorney Dawn J. Post is fighting for a 17-year-old American girl who's at the Youth of Vision Academy in Jamaica. And she's fighting for her to be released from the facility amidst abuse allegations. We join Dawn now via Zoom to discuss the issue. Morning, Dawn. Welcome again to Smile Jamaica.
Good morning. Thank you again for having me.
Earlier this year, we were talking about the Atlantis Leadership Academy in Treasure Beach. Before we get to the Youth Vision, give me a little bit of an update about what has happened with that case.
So my understanding is that that school continues to be closed. I believe that the criminal case is continuing, and there is an additional court hearing this coming Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Two of the youth that were remanded to the care and custody of CPFSA remain in Jamaica, and it's been very complicated in trying to secure their return. Mm-hmm. Primarily, I believe, due to issues within the United States mm-hmm. in securing their placement in foster care in the states that they originally came from.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because it also speaks to what's happening with Youth of Vision Academy. Tell me a little bit about YOVA and what's happening in that instance.
So Youth of Vision Academy primarily focuses on adopted youth and claims that they treat reactive attachment disorder, or what's commonly known as RAD. And the majority of their population is from the United States, and they are adopted out of foster care. So this raises a number of issues with respect to why these youth are being sent out of the country when they've been adopted. The individual who has put together the treatment plan that YOVA follows has been debunked in the United States. Upon learning about Youth of Vision Academy, because one of the issues that I specialize in as I'm a nonprofit attorney is broken adoptions, youth who no longer live with their adoptive parents, I began looking into Youth of Vision Academy, and I've been able to find out that the leadership, specifically three of them, Nandy Ned, formerly known in the United States by her middle name Shanika, Jennifer Alexis, now known as Jennifer Alexis Connor, and Noel Reed all worked at Miracle Meadows. And that school was closed in 2014 due to the sadistic torture of the children in its care. My understanding is that Mr. Reed claims that the abuse occurred after he left YOVA. I apologize, Miracle Meadows. However, investigations were ongoing during the entirety of the existence of that program, and the settlements in that case only happened in 2023. So through depositions and through the investigation in those civil lawsuits, which were settled for over 100 million US dollars, these specific individuals were allegedly identified as perpetrators of specific acts of physical and sexual abuse. Some of those acts are too graphic for me to say on television. However, all three were specifically identified. In addition, the 501c3 officers were also linked back to this facility, and allegations were also made against several of them. And that's what caused me concern in terms of, and I think many other advocates, in terms of how these programs and individuals who've been accused of abuse, potentially in the US allegedly, are leaving and opening in other countries where they no longer have to have oversight, regulation, or licensing that you would have here in the United States.
Dawn, this is horrifying.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you and I am speechless. So,
I need to add that this isn't just historical in terms of the allegations that were made against the leadership and 501c3 officers of YOVA. I have interviewed, and I have clients, over 10 of them, between the ages of 13 and 22, who all have provided testimonies and specific allegations of abuse, physical, sexual, that was perpetrated against them while they were at YOVA. And this is in recent years. And as a result, Homeland Security has initiated an investigation. Mm-hmm. In addition, there are allegations of sex and labor trafficking because many of these adopted youth have been abandoned by their adoptive families who no longer plan for their return to the United States. So when these youth turn 18 and they've been abandoned, they have to work. And that has sometimes been sexual favors that they've been asked to do, but also to perform labor for work, to get their passports and to earn money to return to the United States. Some have never made it back to the United States. And in fact, there are efforts to locate those youth in other islands. The Homeland Security is in the process of arranging interviews with my clients, and JCF, to my understanding and from what I was told, was looking for a budget in terms of traveling to the United States themselves to interview my clients. This has now grown bigger because Canadian Child Protective Services became involved and rescued 3 of their own teenagers this past week. And there have been an investigation has now been referred to the Canadian Mounted Police based upon allegations by a Canadian citizen and survivor of YOVA. And there is the equivalent of Homeland Security, to my knowledge, that is now also investigating YOVA.
Yeah, we're almost out of time. I know there is one particular client that you are trying to get removed from the facility, but you're being stonewalled. Why?
It's very unclear. The CPFSA and the embassy was aware since June 3rd that the Guardian was going to come to the Jamaica to retrieve her ward. Mr. Reed essentially threw the papers back at her, the court orders from the United States. Child Protective Services has now become involved from Iowa. Attorney General's office has become involved, and Congresswoman Henson has become involved. There are various levels of the federal government that are now actively looking at YOVA due to the abuses that are being alleged. And so it is unclear why this youth is not being released when her legal guardian is here to pick her up. And we were not told until after we arrived here that we may need to get mirror orders in Jamaica. However, this should be frightening for any parent or guardian who drops their child off at YOVA and signs over their guardianship to YOVA, because that means that YOVA can refuse to return any child that they deem that they want to keep. And that appears to be what's happening.
All right, Dawn, we're out of time, but still so many questions to be answered. I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us this morning. And certainly our news team will be following this up to see where it goes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Dawn J. Post, Esquire, children's rights attorney. Wow. The second edition of News in 5 is up next.